Welcome to I Drink Your Podcast, where we drink and talk about movies from 2007.
The fourth dimension will collapse upon itself, you stupid bitch.
Shut up, I'm a man and I know what's good for me.
Bountiful penis. Amen.
Boy, my ass is sore.
You can get pink eye from farting in a pillow?
Yeah, but you gotta be bare-assed.
I'm gonna invent a toothbrush for your butthole.
It does the trick.
Paddington Bear.
He's a homewrecker?
Yeah, he wrecks homes.
You are a murderer of love.
I drink your podcast. I drink it up.
Welcome back to another episode of I Drink Your Podcast. I'm joined today by Emily.
Hi, everyone.
And two triumphant returns today. We have Matt back.
Hey, what's going on?
And our friend Brandon.
Hey, what's up, y'all? How's it going?
Oh, so excited to have a big group of old friends back here today. And before we get started, does anyone have anything interesting in their glass today?
I do. I always go first, but I'm just going to continue going first because I always have something exciting in my glass. But I'm drinking a slippery when wet. A slippery when wet. It has gin, strawberries, honey, lemon, and Greek yogurt. It's specifically like the Greek yogurt part of it is because this movie is somewhat based off of Pygmalion, a Greek myth, but also sex dolls. So slippery when wet.
Okay. Do sex dolls get wet?
I don't know.
I don't either. Matt.
I think they can be.
Oh my, okay.
I don't know. I don't have anything interesting in my glass. It's just a tea from Sweet Hut. Have you guys heard of that chain?
No.
That sounds like a Southern thing.
It's a free commercial. It's I don't know. It's like they have like buns and, all sorts of good eats there.
But mainly buns, right? But mainly buns.
Matt, just to be clear, I wasn't kicking to you to figure out what was in your glass. I was kicking to you as our resident sex doll expert.
Oh, okay.
So I'll be kicking to you periodically throughout the show for questions.
All right. Well.
So I don't have any real stuff in my house in regards to beer. I was hoping for just a beer, like Wisconsin. It's beer country. But I didn't have anything. So just like this movie, when the real thing can't do the job, you got to get something fake. So I got a little apple cider. It's a close proximity.
Oh,
to
like a hard cider. Got it.
Oh, yeah. I'm still drinking with y'all.
Yeah, I have a screwdriver. Actually, I have a Smirnoff screwdriver in honor of open up the box. Pretty sure they use some type of screwdriver or some type of screw gun for that. So hey.
Yeah.
I have two screwdrivers, matter of fact. I doubt I can get to the second one, but I'm going to try.
Okay. Hey, Matt, it's been a while since we've had you here. What's been going on?
Well, let's see here. Everything.
Oh, my.
I don't know. I've been doing a lot of work, so that's been fun. Video production and like drone stuff. And yeah, I've been working on losing a little bit of weight. I've lost 7 pounds. So
hey, congrats.
Yeah, just hanging out.
Yep, and trying to get fit for Survivor.
Yeah, that's right. I would love to go on that show. That'd be great. If they'd have me. I don't know.
Is it still going on?
It's still going on. There's 40 seasons. You
gotta be kidding me.
There's 40 seasons. And if you're looking for the best entrance season, it's number 28. Brains versus Brawn versus Beauty. It's so good.
So if you were on that show, which tribe would you be in?
Oh,
I don't think he'd be in one.
He wouldn't be cast that season.
I actually had a friend of mine that she graduated the year before I did in high school. She was on Survivor I think she made like the second round.
What was her name?
I can't forget. I'm forgetting her name right now. It's the worst.
Dang, that's insane.
I have to go back and look because she was a cheerleader and everything, and I'm like, you're on Survivor?
That's crazy.
It was cool though.
So your dreams can come true.
Yeah, I mean, if you look up the odds, it's like not that high. Like if you look up odds of getting cast on Survivor.
You're literally doing that now.
It's 1 in 1,000 roughly. 1 in 1,100.
That's not bad.
And that's from bestuScasinos.org. So That's a good source.
So speaking of dreams, Brandon, I hear you have a pretty interesting movie-related dream up for yourself.
Yes, I always wanted to be an extra in a Western. I think that's the coolest thing in the world, to have like the hat and like, like wear everything and be on the horse. And I don't even need a real gun. You can just give me like some, well, I wouldn't have a real gun anyway, but I wouldn't even I just want to be in a Western. I think that's just like that set and how everything is set up is so cool looking to me. I've always wanted to be in a Western ever since I saw, probably ever since I've seen The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. That's when I really wanted to do it. And then when Posse came out, which is an old Western, like 90 something, whole bunch of black people in it, I was like, oh, there's black people that are like cowboys. And I was all for it. And I was like, that was one of my dreams before I die, is to be an extra in a Western.
Yeah, Matt really wanted to be in a Western too when he saw Young Guns.
Oh, yeah, that too. Oh, Young Guns is
right.
Yeah,
it's a great movie.
I was thinking like Westworld season 1. I was like, that looks cool, right? That's pretty fun.
Throw me in.
We used to low key watch a lot of Westerns. Like we used to watch Quickly Down Under. I used to know like not line for line, but a couple lines in that movie. It's really good. Both the Young Guns, of course. 3:10 to Yuma, High Noon, For a Few Dollars More. Oh, what's the other one you used to watch? For a Few Dollars More, Good, the Bad, the Ugly, and Fistful of Dollars.
I just saw that for the first time this year because Corbin's like, you should watch it. And I was like, I had a great time. It was so fun.
The Westerns are so great. It's so great. And it's always fun to see, like, I mean, just like when you see a newer Western, like, what's the one with the News of the Western, News of the World or something like that?
News of the World with Tom Hanks?
Yeah, that's technically a Western. And even I was watching that on the plane. We were going to, coming back from Puerto Rico. It was on the plane. I was like, this is really good. Like, it's not even... No, it's a good story and everything about it was pretty good. So I just love Westerns. So
are Westerns kind of what made you fall in love with movies, or were there some other like seminal pieces in your kind of cinephilic framework?
The thing that I think it's
make it up words.
Yeah, killing it.
Go for it. Strategery.
That's right.
Look, I think I know what he's asking.
So like I want to say, I'm an 80s kid, so the 80s made me fall in love with movies, like just all that Star Wars and Back to the Future. And then, as you get older, you start to watch a lot of different movies that are kind of like, appeal to more so people like you. So like I said, I'm watching like Higher Learning, I'm watching Boys in the Hood, stuff like that. So I'm seeing all these stories, but I've always kind of gravitated toward more fictional stuff because I like stuff not being real, even though most of the films that I watch and really enjoy kind of have like some realism to it. Mm-hmm. But just certain films like those films, like those 80s, those core 80s films, like even Close Encounters and Aliens. We basically grew up on Predator. Like my brother and I, can like legit like Predator for parts of Predator line for line. Juice is one that is probably our top 5 movie ever. Like we can literally go like word for word, everything Tupac says, we can say word for word in that whole movie. Yeah, so it's like that. And then as I got older, it just you start to see a lot of things that are kind of similar to other directors and cinematographers and writers are doing. And I just kind of fell in love with it. Like it was kind of easy, I guess. I just enjoyed it. And 80s is basically where I have a lot of baseline for. I always kind of go back to those movies and say like, this is like this is like that. And I can see it. And then when the technology catches up, you know what I'm saying? A whole lot of stuff changes. Like lighting gets different, but the concepts are still the same. So that and just stories and Indiana Jones. I mean, Indiana Jones and Last Crusade, line for line, I know. So yeah, it's mostly the 80s, early 90s is when we fall in love with film.
So you really love fake fictional movies, which means this movie was perfect, right?
That's great for me.
Yeah. So why Lars and the Real Girl? Like, because you picked this one.
I know I've said this before in a different film. I hadn't seen anything like it. And I think it's, especially at that particular time period where that could be such a big joke and people can go with it and they can make a whole bunch of terrible jokes about it, to watch it and for that not to be the case. And it'd be more about like a person's mental health and, how they're navigating through trying to find themselves. And not only that, like I know I wrote in my notes, like this is the best town in the world. Like every town should be like this. And it's like, it speaks so much to how like making somebody worth it, I guess, like worth like, okay, I'm uncomfortable with the fact that he has a doll. But but if that's going to help him get to where he needs to be, then that person's worth it enough. You know what I'm saying? To actually being uncomfortable to make sure that they're comfortable, they can get to that next spot in their life. And I think the way that it's written, the way that the actors are, like Ryan, I think Ryan Gosling, I think this film. I don't think anything else. I don't think Drive or what else? I'm trying to think of the dancing one. See, I've already drank too much. Yeah. La La Land. I don't think any of that. I think this one, because this is the one where I'm like, just his emotions and the way that he's actually acting and the stuff that he's doing and the nonverbal stuff. It's like, this dude is really, he's really this person. Like, it doesn't feel like he's like, trying to fake it and it's still funny. Like, he's serious. And everybody around him, like, it's like all the nonverbals in this film made it to where it's uncomfortable, but we're doing this for Lars. And it kind of made it feel like it was a really, really, it's just a good film. It's a good film. Mm-hmm. Everybody in it's amazing. I mean, I got so many notes. So I got like 5 pages of notes on this. I really like this film.
Well, Brandon, you brought up a lot of stuff that is going to probably be agreed on and pushed back on as we talk about this movie today. But during the first half of our podcast, we'll be discussing and reviewing Lars and the Real Girl. And the second half features our Battle of Twits, a creative competition this week featuring Ben and Matt. Our current leaderboard is Guest with 9, Wes with 6, Matt with 5, Emily with 3, and myself with 1. And as I said, we have watched Lars and the Real Girl, directed by Craig Gillespie, featuring Ryan Gosling, Emily Mortimer, Paul Schneider, and Patricia Clarkson.
Karen's been worried about you. She thinks you've got a problem because you spend so much time by yourself.
I'm fine.
That's what I told her. It's exactly what I said.
Okay.
Dad was kind of like that too, so...
Yeah, but he didn't really want anyone around, so that's the difference.
Lars, played by Ryan Gosling, lives a secluded life in Wisconsin, going to work, going to church, and not going to his brother and sister-in-laws for dinner. He avoids social contact with everyone, including his new coworker, Margot, who has a crush on him. One day, Lars finally tells Karen and Gus that he has a friend over, Karen and Gus being his brother and sister-in-law. And this turns out to be Bianca, a wheelchair-mobile missionary of Brazilian and Danish descent, who's also a sex doll. Worried about his mental health, Karen and Gus convince Lars to take Bianca to the doctor.
Brandon, I gotta tell you, I had very little expectations for this movie going into it. But I swear, I have a memory of walking down to the movie rental place, the video store, with my dad, and seeing this sitting on a shelf and looking at it and going, ooh, is that like a porno or something? Like, that just does not seem good. And me in my middle school mind, I was like, I don't even know what that is. Like, how do you even use a doll? So confusing. Now I'm an expert, right? I don't know.
Well, let's kick it to our sex doll expert. Matt, how do you use a sex doll?
Well, obviously you bring it to church in the movies and you carry it out like it's a safety blanket because it makes you feel good about where you are. And there's always somebody that's going to be loving you.
Perfect.
Back to you.
So I had never seen this movie either. And I always kind of knew it as the doll movie, like the one where Ryan Gosling's kind of going around with a doll. It was not at all what I expected it to be. It kind of had this very interesting tone from the very beginning that lent itself to being more of a character study than what I was expecting. Like, this movie really hinges on Ryan Gosling and his character and what he's dealing with. And I think that was a very interesting choice for telling this type of story.
Matt, had you seen it before?
No, I thought I had, but I had not.
You saw the other sex doll movie?
I was like, it was one of those things where I saw it and I was like, you saw like the box and you thought you know what it was about. So I was like, I think I've seen that, but it's just been so long.
It's a good movie, man. I like it. Of course, I go to the cinematography stuff first. And there's not that much in... Well, there's a lot in every film that's like this, that cinematography rise. But the thing that I think that set the tone for the whole film is basically when you first see him and he's there and he's in his house or in the garage and everything's dark and it's cold. It feels cold and he feels like he's isolating himself. which is, a part of that whole, that process of going through depression. So like he's withdrawn from everything around him. Everything's dark and everything's cold. And this is seeing that. It's like, okay, there's no rims of light on him. Like, I think when he goes into the house and you actually see him like later when he's eating, he's like, he does that whole awkwardness until he actually gets Bianca. And then he's like, he perks up. It's like light's different. Everything's different in it. And I think just having that opening scene. And again, another thing that I really love about this film is that they don't talk about the passage of time other than the point when it says 6 weeks later after he gets it. Then like the passage of time is actually like his sister-in-law's pregnancy. You kind of see that kind of move along. I really enjoyed it from the beginning because I think that lets you know, that first scene lets you know this isn't going to be some just comedy. It's going to be like, a few jokes here and there, but it's going to be seriously about this guy's journey to being kind of introducing himself back into, or actually in society, because he's never really been introduced in society to begin with.
Right. It immediately set the tone for the movie. I was expecting some sort of kind of indie comedy, and I didn't get that. And so right away, I could tell this character was really introverted, and he was shying away from the door when someone was coming there. And it seemed like it was someone he knew, whether it was like a girlfriend or a family member or something like that. But then, of course, Ben decides to ruins the moment. And he sends me a video as we're watching this. We're both virtually watching this. And he sends me a video and I'm like, why did you have me pause the movie? Ben, what did you send me?
So this is a case where a meme has ruined the beginning of the movie, Brandon. Like, I appreciate you saying like all that great stuff about the cinematography, but that meme of Ryan Gosling won't eat his cereal, and that being, I don't know if anyone knows what I'm talking about, but it's a person holding up a spoon of cereal to their TV to pictures of Ryan Gosling.
I've seen it.
The part where he takes like the sweater and covers his mouth, like that's one of my favorite ones of that. So when that came up in this movie, I was like, oh my God, I'm completely taken out of it.
That's terrible.
I know.
You just undercut the whole film.
I know.
Nobody's going to watch this that's listening. Like, I'm not watching that anymore.
No, it's so good though. I really did enjoy it. I wasn't expecting a lot from it. And when I was watching it, I looked up that it had been nominated for Best Screenplay, and it shows. And you're right, Brandon, when you're talking about the nonverbals, I don't know if they were written in or directed in or what, but it really showed more about the characters and about the town and the interactions between them. And I loved that. And I wasn't really sure where they were going to go with their conversation around mental illness. I was a little scared of that because it's 2007, and we have seen a lot of 2007 movies do a lot of terrible things. Thoughts on how Ryan Gosling portrayed his character?
This is the first I'm hearing of the 2007 being horrible.
I mean, I know people who suffer from social anxiety and struggle to be out in the world. So this movie and this performance really resonated with me because of that, because a lot of the tics I would see in his behavior, or I'll do this and then not doing it. It reminded me a lot of people who I've seen with this disorder. So the realism piece of his performance really came through for me because of my own personal experiences.
Well, the director of this, Ryan Gillespie, he actually did a TV show called The United States of Terror.
Oh, I love that show.
And that's all about multiple personality disorder. So like it got canceled after 2 years, and it should have got an ending. It was very, very good. Yeah, it kind of seemed like he kind of took that from this other one and kind of went with the other actual show, and you kind of see how, if you get a chance to see the show, it's really good. That vision of how the family was adjusting to this multiple personality thing. Same thing the way this town did with Lars. They looked at it and said, okay, we know we're doing this for Lars. He's got this issue going on. When they get to when the brother and sister gets to talking to like the pastor, and I forgot who else was in that.
Oh yeah, it was all the elders, and right. I don't even know their names, but they're all the elders of the community. Right.
And I think somebody said like, what do we do? And it's like, well, you don't do anything. Just let Lars be Lars. And I think it's that right there lets you know like how this town was going to react to everybody, or react to Lars and having bringing this doll around, and nobody shunned him or made fun of him in his face like that. I mean, now if it was for real, then like they would have been dogging him and talking all about him and throwing other rubber things at him. Probably, I don't know what they've been doing, but it just feels like it would have been something really malicious. But like to actually look at that particular subject and saying, okay, this person has this problem, and then doing it in a way that shows some, I can't say shows some grace, but actually it doesn't demean the fact that he has this, or that he's going through this, is cool. And then I think I know what the guy said. He said everybody has their own thing. Like your niece dresses up cats or something like that, and then your sister's like a kleptomaniac. Like what I'm saying, like all that stuff. Like everybody's got their own shit. And I think this is Lars's shit. It's a big pile, but it's going to get to the point to where it's not going to be what it is anymore. I think they had that foresight for it. But of course, when you're in it, like, what I'm saying, you're like, yo, this is wrong. This is weird. Like, even like the brother's like, shifting in his seat the whole time and all that stuff like that. Like, I think when you see that and you add it to it and what they were able to do with that film to kind of push that along to say like, okay, yeah, he's just a weird dude right now. That's it. And everybody accepted it. And it was cool.
Yeah, I when that lady was listing off all those things, I was just I was like, oh wow, she's listing quite a few. I was hoping she'd just keep going further. Like he did grand larceny, and he's a murderer. And
this small town is a very close knit community, I guess.
Yeah, but at the same time, there's something that rang a little too idyllic for me, in the sense that there wasn't even a single person within the town that gave him shit, even behind his back. I understand the wanting to show support, but that doesn't ring true for me. Like there are people who are constantly shit talking. Like people run their mouths, and the fact that not one of those things were something we saw on camera, like it just made it feel a little too Andy Griffith feeling, where it's like 1950s idealism rather than kind of what the world really is.
I can completely agree with that. But then my question for you and all of us is, within the themes of the movie, the goal is having Lars heal from his mental illness. And so the part of the therapy is for him to see that this sex doll is a real person, is his real girlfriend, mostly a friend. So then where would that fit into the movie, to have like an outside antagonist against Lars? Is it just like a split second thing? I feel like it would throw off the pacing of the movie. I think that it would take away from Ryan Gosling's performance. And even though I think that it probably isn't very realistic, in that there aren't any naysayers besides that one old dude in the beginning. Otherwise, I don't know where it would fit, though, No,
and I think you're right, because this script walks a very fine line where a single joke in this movie could have toppled the entire thing and made it undercut everything we saw. So I completely understand that argument against doing that. There is something to be said for having people within the community who aren't on his side creates an additional hurdle that he has to overcome, something that maybe is a little more in line with actually dealing with a social anxiety disorder within our population. So showing that, like, yeah, not only do you have to overcome this internal stuff, but there's going to be external stuff put on you as well that you have to overcome. And I think if we're really talking about this movie being about dealing with a social disorder, you want to show all of the difficulties that are faced in trying to overcome that, rather than just a narrowed focus of this is an internal problem.
One of the thoughts that I had as you were talking, Ben, is we've mentioned this before. A lot of the stories that we are exploring in 2007, we're finding that it may have been better as a TV series, so that it was able to stretch and go deeper into a lot of the plot lines, because now in 2021, we're seeing deeper storytelling being told through TV shows or series, especially when it comes to mental health.
I can't imagine them trying to walk that fine line for an 8-hour miniseries. Like, I just don't think that this type of story would have the narrative strength to carry a show like that, especially if you're introducing Bianca so early into the series, like they did in this movie, where she's kind of like the turning point of Act 1. I don't know what that show would be like, and I don't know if I'd watch it.
You just keep going. Like the end of this movie, he's like, he's like basically going on a date or whatever, so how difficult would that relationship be, and it's just small town Wisconsin. You'd be able to build it out more. I think I have a belief that you could make any idea into a TV show versus like a movie.
I just worry that it would become like a Bianca's Job of the Week type show where it's like, this week
Sure.
Bianca goes to the hospital.
Yeah. Well, maybe you get rid of it in the pilot,
Yeah.
This week she gets her hair cut. This week she gets on the school board.
Right.
She's a bar back this week.
That is just not true. God, every person in this town bends over backwards to make Bianca feel at home. Why do you think she has so many places to go and so much to do? Huh? Because of you! Because all these people love you!
Dr. Dagmar convinces Lars' family to pretend Bianca is real as a way to support him through therapy. Lars starts to introduce the community to Bianca, and they all pretend she is real out of their concern for Lars. Not much really happens in the second act. Other than it's kind of the adventures of Bianca throughout town.
It's literally what we were just saying.
Is that the right move for therapy? I was just wondering that. I was like, wait a second. Like, was that what they'd actually do if that was real?
I mean, I wonder that too, because they really are all feeding into his delusions.
Exactly. And that's Gus's reservation and like his whole crux, he's embarrassed.
Yeah, there's a moment where Karen and Gus are washing Bianca and they like drop her face down in the tub. And I'm just like sitting there going, wait, are they pretending that she's real? Like, what's happening? What if Lars walks in? I mean, he wouldn't because she'd be naked and he's a gentleman. But like, I had so many thoughts of like, how are they portraying her as real? Or also when the townspeople, very, very sweet, adorable, small Wisconsin white people that aren't.
Hey, there's 2 black people there and one Latino person.
Right.
So you know what? I feel that we were well represented for.
No, I felt very happy to see Ronnie from Schitt's Creek in there. I was like, I love you. But generally, though, it was very small town Wisconsin, and they even were pretending when Lars wasn't there.
That was the thing that kind of threw me the most, is when Bianca is reading a story to a group of children. Like, what do the children think is happening in that moment?
Wait, well, maybe it's like a cute little puppet show kind of thing to them, but are they told that she's real? Like,
I have no idea. Like, that's why that scene threw me, is because like there's so much backstory I need to know about what's happening right here, right now.
Just with the children.
Yes.
That actually looked like elementary school. I work in elementary school sometimes, and teachers need a break, man. They can get anybody. You don't need one body up there anymore. Just throw something up there and, hey, we need a second. That's what it kind of.
So, Brandon, what I'm hearing is you're advocating for every teacher to be given a sex doll to work as a teacher's assistant.
No.
Let's go to our expert, Ben.
Matt, what?
Oh, you even have a teacher wife.
Do you think Shelby would appreciate having a sex doll as her teacher's assistant to read to the students so she can like go take a nap? Or whatever elementary school teachers do on their prep. I don't know.
I don't feel like I'm going to plead the fifth here. I don't feel comfortable being on the record on that one.
Okay.
You know what? There is one scene in here that I really liked, is when they're at the party. This is Act 2 is still the party scene. And that's his first, like, he's at the door, and I think that's when he kind of, how this is how he kind of makes that whole turn. Okay, I'm going to be around people, and the door opens up. He's in there. He's talking, and I think like when he's dancing by himself and he's just happy. Like, I think you never see him that happy ever before that point.
Right.
And I think it's not just that he's happy. I think it's more so the fact that, okay, I did it. I got here. I got to the point to where I'm around people. I'm talking, and they're like not treating me too weird. You know what I'm saying? Or he's just there. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that for that character, and Ryan Gosling fucking killed it. This is the film that, if you're a fan, this is the one that I think he's really good in, because there's no explosions. He's not like, the prettiest guy in the room. He's none of that stuff. He's just like a regular guy. That scene when he's dancing by himself, like I'm sitting there, I'm starting to well up. Like, dude, was I crying when I first saw this? Just right, like, that's just so, I've never seen that much joy in a person who just succeeded in a simple thing. But for him, it was like it's like
momentous occasion.
Yeah, and he's driving back, and he's still happy driving back, and that's something you don't see when he's walking out of his house to go to work, when he's at work with his cubicle mate. You know what I'm saying? You don't see any of that stuff at all. Like, that's the moment where I think he was like, okay, I can be in society as a regular person.
I can definitely empathize with that. A few years back, I was really struggling from anxiety, and I needed to take a leave of absence from work. And I still remember my first social gathering, that initial step to get in. I was like crying on the steps, trying to get myself to go in. But once I was in, it felt like that huge accomplishment. And so, like, obviously it wasn't the same sort of level that Lars was at, but I can definitely empathize and feel I welled up too, Brandon, when I saw him, just pure joy on his face, doing his own thing.
Everybody's around him, but nobody's around him at the same time. He's in it. Like, and I think that's really hard to show just like on camera, and to have that type of emotion, to do that type of that where the camera is and everything. It feels like he's smushed, but he's not at the same time. And it's just to have that type of joy, to be able to show that. I thought that was probably one of the best parts of the film. Absolutely.
The movie takes a bit of a turn at the end of the second act, where Lars starts to become very possessive of Bianca, and he kind of gets called out on it by the other townspeople as like, no, she lives her own life.
Mm-hmm.
How did that feel for you guys? Because we've seen these type of male characters portrayed like where it's like an abusive, possessive partner, but seeing it through this lens of like, it is his property, essentially. Like, I understand what they're saying, but like, how did that feel trying to strike that note within this movie for any of you?
I don't know.
Master's giggling over there. I actually didn't think of that, and so I'm kind of trying to think right now. I actually appreciated, was it Karen and the old lady? I can't remember her name, but she was old lady that was supportive of him. That was who she was. And they were like, did you check her calendar? Like, they have it laid out for him. And I don't know if it was a part of the Dr. Dagmar's plan with therapy or not. I mean, the whole time during this act, he's also going to the doctor to give Bianca treatment, but also he's just sitting in the office with the doctor, and she's just talking to him, and they're working through some of his issues. But maybe that was a part of it. Maybe it wasn't. I don't know. But I'm glad that they did add it in, at least. Because I think that Lars was dependent on Bianca for his own ability to get out of the house and to be a part of society.
He definitely was. And if it's Dr. Dagmar's plan for them to have done it that way, where they're kind of taking Bianca out, that's never really explicitly stated within the movie. I would have appreciated that being told to us that that's what was happening, because it felt like, okay, we're supporting Lars and everything, and we're going along with all this, but all of a sudden now we're taking away the security blanket from him. And it's like, is this part of his therapy to be pulling him in this direction, or are you just being callous over an object?
Yeah, I did feel that way sometimes.
She was kind of like Dr. Doom in the background, like ha 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 ha. Yeah, what's her name? Her name is Patricia Clarkson.
Yeah,
that's what it is. She's everything she's been in. I don't think she's been in anything bad. The Untouchables, Good Night and Good Luck,
Easy A,
which is one of my top 10 favorite films. I love Easy A. Shutter Island, which is really good too. She was really slick with like, oh, come on in and talk to me for a second while Bianca's getting your teeth done or something. I don't know what she was doing. They're having this little session where you kind of get a little bit of backstory, which I thought was really slick in the writing.
I agree. I loved the doctor's role in this. I wish there was a little bit more insight into some of the things that she was doing. But even the moment when Lars reveals that when people touch him, he hurts, I thought that was such a powerful moment. And then later, as things are going on throughout the movie, like, he has to continue to wear gloves, or he has to wear clothing, so that when people do reach out to him or try to touch him, he's struggling with that. And then even later in the movie, right before we get into the ending, he starts having a real conversation with his brother Gus about their abandonment issues and their mom dying when Lars was a kid. And we start getting into a lot deeper stuff that we kind of superficially learned at the beginning of the movie, but it kind of just brushed off my brain. I wasn't really paying attention to it. But then they had like a real conversation. And I feel like that was the first moment where they actually talked to each other.
I was very confused throughout the movie of what kind of doctor Dr. Dagmar was. Is she like a general practitioner, like helping people like in the hospital setting, like actually like inspecting Bianca? Or is she a psychologist? Because I have a hard time believing that she's both.
Didn't she say like if you're up here, you have to be a little bit of everything? Didn't she say that in one part? Like,
I mean, that feels like the writer just kind of writing that criticism away. Then.
Oh, okay.
But
I think she was probably a pediatrician or something like that, where Lars is still a child in a sense, and like it's small town Wisconsin, and you stay with your family doctor forever. And it just seemed like a small family practice to me. But I don't know. Who knows? We're reading into things.
Yeah.
But going back to the whole thing with him and his brother, that's the first real conversation you actually have to see them have. And I think it's the thing I normally tell little kids. I guess I normally tell the little kids. I tell everybody really. When you're the oldest. Like your most important job is to watch out for whoever the youngest person is. I think that brother felt like, he's like, oh man, my brother's crazy. My brother's this, that, and the other. He's off. I think for a little bit, he kind of felt like he was failing his brother because when he even said like, the first time I can get out of here, I took off. And I didn't, I come back later thinking everything is supposed to be okay. And Lars is, I got Lars living in the garage like he's a dog or something like that. I think he kind of felt a little bit like he failed Lars a little bit. So having the whole conversation, you kind of get a little bit more of that dynamic and why, Gus kind of feels the way he does and why, Lars is pretty much kind of forgiving about like, yeah, it's just kind of whatever. Yeah, I think with that whole dynamic of the two brothers and the sister-in-law, I think that whole dynamic kind of really speaks to how like this family is really trying to do what's best for Lars and take care of their own shit at the same time. They have a baby coming, the brother's got some other things going on. That conversation felt like it was really, really needed to kind of just clear that because they never really had one literally the whole film until then. That's like the end of the second act.
Mm-hmm.
I know this is a completely tangential thought, but one of the things I meant to bring up earlier, and now that we have a sex doll expert, Matt, I can ask, is it normal for sex dolls to have anatomically correct parts?
You think so? Yeah. It's like I'm the worst expert. Pretty
because
sure.
There was such a weird moment where Karen, the sister-in-law, lifts up Bianca's skirt and is like checking to see what's underneath, and they all start like gossiping about it. And I'm just sitting here going, wait, is she supposed to be real? Like, what is happening right now? We're sexually assaulting this sex doll?
So what's interesting is that I believe I read in the IMDb trivia that the sex doll did not have anatomically correct parts because Lars specifically ordered them without them.
What?
Yeah, that's what I believe I read in the article.
So she has no Yanni. She has nothing down there at all. It's just
that's a great website.
Straight Ken doll. She's going straight Ken doll on the bottom.
I swear, am I misremembering this scene in the movie?
I remember her looking under the dress and then making a face, but that face could have been in realization that there were nothing down there.
There were nothing down there.
There were nothing down there. No Yanni.
Oh my God. Dude, I don't know. I feel like our sex doll expert needs to Google this and find out for us. Report
Save
back, Matt.
Search off.
There you go.
She won't wake up. Bianca! I think she's unconscious. Hey.
Are you sure?
Look at me. Bianca. Hey. Hey.
Bianca's unconscious.
Can you hear me? Bianca.
Hey. She looks all right. Hey.
Bianca's illness gets worse and she dies. The end. Also, Lars probably bones Margot. According to Emily, I don't think they bone.
I think that they will at some point. She goes to church just like he does. They work at the same place. They're a small town, Wisconsin. They're probably going to bone.
So you believe Lars and Margot are endgame?
Yeah, definitely. Did you not watch him take off his glove to shake her hand?
He did.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's the first step. I don't know, man.
That's first step to Bone Town.
Taking off your glove and holding hands is the first step to Bone Town. Emily, on record.
For Lars, it is?
Yep. Throw on some Lion King and it's over.
Oh, shut the fuck up.
For Lars, it's going to be like over 100 steps to Bone Town.
Yeah.
He's got to climb a mountain. He's got to climb at least 8 flights.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. The way he was looking at her at the end, it looked like it was on. It was like, you got some space. Some empty plots over here. You are the real girl. I am Lars.
I don't know.
So this movie is based off of the Greek myth Pygmalion, which is a sculptor who creates this gorgeous sculpture woman and falls in love with her and desperately asks Aphrodite to bring her to life, and they get married and have a kid. The end. So I definitely thought, even though I didn't know this was based on Pygmalion, I was like, what if she's real? What if she comes to life? That's kind of where I thought this was going. And so I didn't think she was just going to die. I also thought like maybe her head would fall off by accident because she is just a doll. I was thinking like a mannequin, kind of doll where her head might just pop off. So I don't know. I was very confused by all of this movie at the end.
So I did think she was going to die. And I believe, Emily, I texted you around the end of Act 1 that said this is going to end with the entire town at their funeral, at her funeral, which turned out to be right. And you and I started talking then after that, like this ending being so obvious from that realm, does that make it a bad ending? If it's like the only way the story could end.
Right. What else would have happened? That was our point that we were texting about. What else could have happened? Like, obviously, Aphrodite could have come and made her real. Da, da, da.
Could he have broke and realized it's a doll?
I struggled to see how that would have played into his delusions. Like, if all of a sudden, it feels like waking a sleepwalker, kind of like how you're not supposed to do that. Like, it feels like that would
what if his
completely
brother
shatter
did it
him.
because he got mad?
What if he walked in on his brother and Bianca having sex?
Yeah, there you go. Somebody else tries to steal the girl, and then he murders that person.
Oh my gosh, God. It was his cubicle mate that kept getting all of his dolls stolen by Margot, because it was a plan all through Margot, because Margot wanted to bone Lars.
Oh my God.
Intricate plots.
That just ruined this movie for me, right?
I'm so sorry, Brandon.
And I think that's what we're saying, Brandon, is like this movie only really has one possible ending because of the story they've built up.
Right.
And does that make a movie not great if it writes itself so much into a corner that there's only one way out?
Well, I think the part that is important is that Lars deciding that she is dying. Lars is the one that's taking control of his own delusion and saying that she's sick and that saying that she is dying. And then when she actually, quote unquote, dies, he's the one that tells everyone that she's dead. Mm-hmm. So it's really more about when does he decide, what can he control, and how does that happen? Like, we knew it was going to happen, but when and how?
Do you feel like the when and how was adequately portrayed within the movie, though? Like, I feel like it was just all of a sudden he woke up and oh no, she's dead. Like, it didn't feel like there was like that last realization on his part that he didn't need her anymore. It felt very sudden within this movie.
You just wanted more of an ending, huh?
I don't know if I wanted more of an ending, and I don't know if I even dislike the current ending. It just feels like if I'm able to, at the end of Act 1, know where the story's going, is that a fault of the story, or is that a fault of me having seen so many movies that I've got the structure down?
I think it's the latter, because like if you go and see Indiana Jones, it's not like you don't know he's going to win at the end. You know, in this one, at least there's like a character study, and you get to see him have multiple interactions with people change, and like they all seem to be interwoven. So, I mean, I guess I would understand if you wanted just more of an ending where he realized he didn't need her versus like more knowing where it was going.
Right. But I think he did need her. I think that it never became a realization that he didn't need her. I think it was he really did truly believe she was a real human. I don't think there was any part of his delusion that made him think that she wasn't real. And I think that goes to show you because the town paid for a fucking funeral for her. Do you know how expensive that shit is? They literally buried her in the ground. There was fucking commitment. He was very convinced that she was real.
So I made the joke at the end of the movie that this entire movie is Lars pulling an insurance scam. And he convinced the town she was real, took out $1 million life insurance policy on her, is now just going to live the rest of his days.
At the very end, he puts sunglasses on. And
Straight up. What's the guy's
Kaiser
name?
Soze.
Yes, Kaiser. Yes, I was gonna say.
He like starts walking different and everything. rips off his normal clothes and he's wearing a suit.
All of a sudden, he goes back to his house and he pulls out like a Maserati, drives out it.
Yeah, this is a prequel to Drive.
Right,
Yeah.
dude. And then after that, what's the other one? Only God Can Judge Me. I think this is the other one, like the continuation of that.
Yeah, only God Forgives.
Yeah, Only God Forgives. Yeah, he just goes on like a straight streak. He's like, man, fuck it, I'm just that guy now. Like I pull this off in anything.
General feelings about the movie? Do we for the most part like it?
I did like it. Like I said, I had no expectations going into it other than I thought it was going to be a creepy, weird comedy with a porn feel to it. I didn't get any of that. I got something that was really sweet and genuine. And I don't think I'm going to watch it for a while. I think it left me very introspective of my own personal anxieties. But also, I don't think I want to watch it again because it's kind of a downer for a while. But I would be willing to go back and look at it in 10 years or so and see how, society has more modernized the media around mental illness.
I was hoping you were going to say modernized sex dolls.
Sure. I mean, if you watch a lot of anime, there's a lot of normalizing of sex dolls in some genres in anime.
Yeah.
What anime are you watching? I'm watching
all anime. She's watching all anime.
No, that's not true. That's not true.
It's...
To be fair, Ghost in the Shell has a whole thing about sex dolls, and it's like a very tragic story.
Wait, in the actual Ghost in the Shell, like in the original Ghost in the Shell, it does?
Like in the series, the second movie, I think.
Oh, okay. Like the standalone complex?
Yeah.
Well, actually, Emily, you talking about sex dolls and other areas of media has brought me to my game today.
Oh.
Okay! Game on! Game on! Game on!
As Matt once famously said to me, every doll can be a sex doll with the right level of creativity.
I'm sorry, did you actually say that?
I
I
don't
couldn't
think I
believe that.
I'm pretty sure you did. You were drunk, you don't remember. So we're going to put that to the test today.
Right.
And
Oh
we're
my
going to go
God.
to our resident sex doll expert, Matt, for our game. So Matt, you're going to get a chance to earn a point. Welcome back.
Mm-hmm.
So Matt, I'm going to give you a doll and you need to tell me if that doll fucks.
All right.
Okay.
Okay, is this your opinion or is this like?
Well, I mean, I have an opinion, but I'm really excited to hear Matt's opinion on it as a sex doll expert.
Okay.
Right, but okay.
I do have right answers that are based on my own personal opinion.
All right,
That's ultimately how you're going to get a point.
That's how I'm going to answer it.
No, you're going to answer it based on how you feel. 60 seconds on the clock. And away we go. Chucky.
It fucks, definitely.
Yeah, he does. In the movie even he does. G.I. Joe.
Does not fuck.
No, G.I. Joe definitely fucks.
No, he
You
doesn't.
kidding me?
No, they don't.
Bratz doll.
No, they don't.
No, they don't. You're right.
They're
Annabelle.
for teenagers. Yes.
No, Annabelle's a child's doll also.
Okay.
Barbie.
Yep.
Yep. Cabbage Patch Kids.
No.
Absolutely not. That creepy doll on the tricycle in the Saw movies.
No.
No, nobody who rides a tricycle fucks. Buzz Lightyear.
Yeah, definitely for
No,
sure.
Buzz Lightyear does not fuck.
What?
Raggedy Andy.
Definitely.
No, come on.
All Andys.
No.
They all fuck.
Andys. The clown doll from Poltergeist.
No, definitely
No,
not.
I think he fucks in that movie. Slappy, the ventriloquist doll from Goosebumps.
Anyone named Slappy fucks.
Absolutely correct.
Okay.
How many did he get?
4.
4. That's not quite good enough today, Matt. I'm sorry that your personal opinions about the sex dolls did not align with mine.
The first thing
It was
you think
a good effort.
is like, is this a doll for children?
Yeah, that should be your first thought.
Resident sex doll expert, Matt.
Emily, did you learn anything from this movie?
I'm learning.
I learned a really terrible lesson, but this movie did teach it to me. So I'm going to share it with all of you, but take it with a grain of salt because it's not a good lesson. So here's my lesson learned on mental illness. Everyone needs to be sneaky and lie to the mentally ill because they'll figure it out all by themselves on their own.
Wow.
They don't need no therapy. They'll figure it out themselves.
I mean, it was therapy.
Was it though?
The entire movie was his therapy.
Yeah, but it was his therapy that he figured out on his own.
Yeah, I think I might have wrote that too. I wrote that like he realizes that he's not working in society. So therefore, this is what he needed to get to where he needed to be functional. I think I might have wrote that someplace.
Brandon, you got a rating or review of this movie for us?
Yeah, I'll give it in honor of the $1. What did he got out of the vending machine? He put in like $1. He got this really big bag of Cracker Jacks.
Yeah.
And I was like pissed. I'm like, Cracker Jacks ain't been that big for $1 in like years. So I was like, I'll give it a good 6.5 to 7 out of 10 bags of Cracker Jacks because I like the movie a lot.
Nice. Matt, do you feel the same way?
I'd probably give it like a 6. I really enjoyed it as a character study. I would like Gus have to gone to therapy as well. Because I kind of like identified with him, like, should we really be doing this? So it was just tough to buy in. But once you do buy in, it's like a lot of fun because like the town is so sweet. And then there's like a lot of like, I don't know. It is fun to see the sex doll in church. So
holding the hymnal.
Yes.
You could come into the middle of this movie anywhere and be like, what? You know? And that's what this movie is. Start to finish. So I think it's a good movie.
God damn it, Matt. We really missed you, man.
Yeah. Here's the thing, Matt. Here's the thing. And this is, I'm glad you said that. So my niece is upstairs and she's watched, I guess you can say it's my niece. She might as well be. And she's sitting here and she's like, so what's going on with this? Does he know that it's actually a mannequin? Like, what's going on? Like, why are they dressing her up? Why is she at school? Like, and I'm like, now that you said that, like, if you come in the middle of it, you can be like, what the fuck is going on? Like, why are you watching this, Brandon? And she was like, are you taking notes? What are you doing? Like, yeah, I'm taking notes, sweetheart. That's what I'm doing for this podcast.
Okay. Emily, you've got some Twits options for us today.
I do. So, Brandon, in a little bit, you and I are going to judge these motherfuckers and decide who wins and who loses. But before we do that, I have 6 random characters for you all to choose from. So here are your options. We have V from V for Vendetta, Mrs. Brown from Paddington, a Chew from Robin Hood Men in Tights, the Black Knight from Monty Python, Gromit from Wallace and Gromit, and Moaning Myrtle from all the Harry Potters. So I think we're going with Ben first on the answer side of it. But because I'm really nice and I'm the deciding factor of all, Matt, I'm going to let you pick first.
Oh.
I guess I'll go Moaning Myrtle.
Moaning Myrtle for Matt.
I'll take the Black Knight.
The Black Knight from Monty Python. And now, it's time for the Battle of the Real Boys.
Yay.
Makes you sound like Pinocchio or something. I will pose 3 questions to our boys to find out who will be the sexiest of the dolls. The winner of each question will be rewarded with anatomically correct parts, and the loser will be left in the dumpster with the lame blow-up dolls.
Oh.
I will be more impressed by the weirdly sexual and delusionally good answers. Dolls, are you ready?
Yeah.
Ready.
Yay! Not only is Matt a real sex doll, he's also a sex doll expert.
Well, I mean, it takes one to know one. I think that's the saying, isn't it?
Sure.
Oh, man.
All right, question 1. When Lars orders Bianca It's Karen, his sister-in-law, that tells him he has a giant box that was just delivered. What's in the box? What did she think was in the box? What would this reclusive individual order in such a large box? Well, because of this, we thought that for a Wesley's Random Question, we should definitely have a random movie character ordering something that comes in a giant box. So your job is to answer what's inside the box. Ben, you chose the Black Knight from Monty Python and the Holy Grail. What's in the box? I thought
I was doing the Black Knight Martin Lawrence. No, I'm just kidding. I totally did Black Knight from Monty Python. Okay. The Black Knight is a self-sufficient man capable of taking care of himself and handling anything that is looking to get past him. What's a knight to do, though, after losing his arms and his legs in a vicious battle? Well, he's going to do what he's always done, which is take care of himself. So he orders medical supplies to piece himself back together. But really, the only supply he needs to fix his flesh wounds are Band-Aids. And why buy a bunch of Band-Aids when there's no chance this ever happens again? So in the giant box is a single giant Band-Aid to reattach his arms and legs and heal him back into fighting shape.
A single giant Band-Aid. I'm sorry, how much does this Band-Aid weigh? Because I'm curious what shipping costs.
Well, I mean, it's pretty light. In fact, the box is going to be 150 times heavier than the Band-Aid itself.
Is it flesh colored?
Well, it's black to match his outfit because he didn't want people thinking you're weird looking.
Got it.
Matt, you chose Moaning Myrtle from Harry Potter. What is inside the box?
Moaning Myrtle, everyone's favorite bathroom buddy, has a package. That's strange. It's huge. She's never got one before. The owl that carried that in must have weighed at least 100 pounds. What would Moaning Myrtle order? Well, she would have ordered some pure Colombian cocaine. She only acts like a dork around all those Gryffindor losers, but with Slytherin, she likes to party with a little nose candy. Smuggled in from owls to avoid radar, shipments pour in every day. She likes to deal to the kids looking to get an edge on a test and add a little kick to some potions. She doesn't need the money. I think she likes the power.
So she's the plug. That's what she is. She's the plug.
Okay, so I do have one question for you.
Shoot.
From my experience with the Harry Potter universe, I'm pretty sure Moaning Myrtle as a ghost cannot pick anything up. Is she still a ghost, or is she real, or does she have a way to get around her ghostly?
Right. She's definitely a ghost, but somehow she gets her hands on her drugs because, when you need them, you find a way. I'm not exactly sure how that happens.
Okay, well, so tell me and find a way to make it work. What does she do?
Well, the students do it. They have to cast a spell on it using their wands, and that's part of the operation. So Slytherin can distribute it, and then she can have her cut. Her little ghost heroin.
You thought Cedric Diggory died just because of Voldemort? No. That was a drug war going on.
Excuse me. I said heroin. I meant cocaine.
Yeah.
She's pushing that hard white out there, and then a hard white.
Oh my gosh.
Serious.
That's why Neville got so skinny by the end.
Yeah, but there's there's ways around it. It's Harry Potter, so she could just
Accio white powder.
Wow. All right, we're gonna move on to question 2. Bianca's backstory is a storied past, and each one of the real sex dolls have an equally interesting backstory on their website. So please write a bio for your opponent's real sex doll. So Matt, what is Ben's sex doll's backstory?
It's Lucky the Leprechaun.
Oh my God.
It's a slot machine sex doll. So
what does that even mean?
He's an Irish leprechaun that wants to share his gold with someone special. So you put in your tokens and your money after you purchased it, of course, to see what you will win. Wink. And he wants to run the rainbow across the Atlantic to America to study to become a casino manager.
Okay.
But just picture like a slot machine in the body of like where a sex doll would be, and then just a lot chunkier of a sex doll, you know, big enough to hold a slot machine, you know.
So, but where's I don't want to know where the handle is.
That's like one of the arms is like the pull handle.
Is it an arm?
Like elbow.
Is it a baby arm or is it a regular arm?
It's a baby arm, but it's. I was thinking it would kind of be like one of those chunky robots that wasn't like, you know, the same on both sides. It's kind of like a C-3PO, but like a little different.
It's very just a little different.
Okay, I do have a question because this is like a sex doll. So is Ben using this for sex as well?
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Ben, you're not answering this.
Sorry.
They're connected.
You were way too excited about that.
One feeds into the other, you know. So Ben's need for the rush of gambling will be filled, and then it'll carry into like, you know, his sex doll.
Yeah.
And does it have anatomically correct parts?
Well, I mean, if you pay for them, yeah, that's
Okay. Thank you, Matt, for telling us this sex doll's backstory. Ben, please tell us the backstory of Matt's real sex doll.
I mean, Matt, he's a sex doll expert, so he needs a sex doll that's seasoned, you know, one that's seen some shit. So Natalie, who at first glance appears to be nothing more than your standard Canadian sex doll, you know, dressed in nothing but a trapper hat and reeking of maple syrup. But she's so much more than that and has lived this extraordinary life. She lost her arms and legs in a high-stakes poker match, not realizing what she was betting on, which Matt really loves because, as he says, easy access. She currently holds the world record for the slowest swim across the English Channel, this being after she lost her arms and legs. She still was able to complete that swim, though. She famously ate 13 hot dogs without using her mouth. Another thing Matt loves about her. She once made love to a guy who kind of looked like Michael Cera. Surprisingly, not Matt. She was one of the 6 writers of Scary Movie. She was also shot 7 more times than 50 Cent. And she once got such a severe case of mono that it mutated into stereo. She is the most interesting sex doll in the world.
I'm mostly confused because I feel like a lot of the things went over my head. Were there references to things that I didn't understand?
Shouldn't have been. Do you know who 50 Cent is?
I know, kind of.
Do you know how to eat a hot dog without your mouth?
No.
God,
I'm assuming, are you like shoving these hot dogs up her vagina?
I'm not doing anything. This is Matt. Don't put this on me.
Is yours based on the world's most interesting man?
It is, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, well, see, that's what I'm saying. I wasn't sure if I was missing something. Okay.
Oh, yeah, the whole thing was based on those Dos Equis commercials with the most interesting man in the world.
I've never seen.
Oh, it's just a guy who they basically say a bunch of outlandish things about, and then it ends with he's the most interesting man in the world, but he drinks Dos Equis.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Stay thirsty, my friends.
That's correct, yeah.
Okay.
Which is also her tagline.
Wow, very thorough backstory.
It was right there, Ben. You missed it.
It was. Thanks, Brandon, for the assist, though.
You know,
It's right there.
Matt, I hope that you had some time to think about your eulogy because here we go into question number 3.
Oh dear.
Your real sex doll has died.
Oh.
I'm so sorry. Please deliver a eulogy in their honor. Ben.
Lucky. You were so much more than just a leprechaun slut that I fucked. You aspired for things. You wanted to be a casino manager, and I respected that. I loved you for that. We bonded over that. I love the way that you would constantly surprise me. I never knew what I would get with you. I'd put in $20 and, out would pop a hand job. I'd put in 50 and, sometimes, you'd kind of toss my salad, and it got me going. You did what you needed to do and what I needed you to do. You were always there for me with your little baby arm. And, you didn't always have the parts that I wanted, but you always had the parts that I needed. And that's more than I can say about any person that I've ever had a relationship with. So thank you so much, Lucky, for all you brought to me. Keep following that rainbow, buddy. We'll see you on the other side.
Holy shit. I would like to point out that whatever the fuck tossing a salad means as an innuendo, I just do not want to know what that means.
Oh, it's a slot machine thing.
Okay.
It's a slot machine thing.
It's a slot machine thing.
I'm surprised you didn't say anything about jackpots or
No.
bonuses.
Okay. Now we're going to pass over to Matt. Matt, I am so sorry. Natalie has died. Please deliver a eulogy in her honor.
Natalie, we didn't get much time together, did we? You never were very much of a swimmer, but you remember when you swam the English Channel and we were there with you, and those dolphins pushed you along. Well, you got lucky. So we did have some good times together, didn't we? Didn't we? Natalie, I loved our time together, and anytime we took a flight, we could only buy one plane ticket, and then you would be able to fit in the overhead compartment. So we were able to travel and do so much more, and I feel like we could have just got you new arms and legs, but I respected you for wanting your old arms and legs back. So we tried to track it down, and we couldn't do it. So I just wish you would have asked for help again when you swam. All right, Natalie. Well, I was never good at goodbyes, was I? Well, goodbye, Natalie.
Is that how you're ending that?
Yeah.
He's like being consoled that like I've got my arm around his shoulder and I'm walking him away like it's okay, buddy.
Is this the same funeral?
No, respect for Lucky and Natalie. They get their own funerals.
Oh, okay. But it's like the same building, right? Like there's one on one side.
No, I had to travel down to Atlanta for his.
Yeah, and the funeral for Natalie was obviously in Canada, where she's from, and just draped in, Canadian stuff. like maple syrup and trapper hats and just the flag, everywhere. Hockey players.
We're back with our decision. So, question number 1, just a reminder, what's inside the box? Ben, you had the Black Knight from Monty Python, and he had a single giant black Band-Aid that he ordered because he's a self-sufficient man to put himself back together, and he's not wasteful. Love it.
Interesting correlation to Natalie as well.
Well,
for Matt, Moaning Myrtle, she's ordering a shit ton of cocaine, and the owl that carried it in weighed 100 pounds, and she's just in it for the parties and for the power. She doesn't need no money. She deals everything to the kids and adds some kicks to potions. Wow, both of you coming in strong. Brandon and I decided apparently cocaine is too funny for us to pass up. Matt, right. You get this point.
Fair.
Because we ended up calling her El Presto for magic stuff.
Question 2, you have to write a bio for your opponent's real sex doll. Matt, you told us about Ben's sex doll, Lucky the Leprechaun, who was a slot machine sex doll.
That's correct.
Was a slot machine, but also a sex doll with a baby arm. Mm-hmm. And sharing his gold with someone special and crossed the Atlantic Ocean on a rainbow to be a casino manager. Very fleshed out.
Mm-hmm.
Ben, holy shit. You came up with a very seasoned sex doll, Natalie, with no arms or legs. And it just went on from there. So, yeah, we're definitely going with Ben on this one. Matt, loved it. Love that you played to Ben's strengths. But I think just the impact of joke after joke on Ben's blew you out. So, most interesting sex doll in the world wins that one. Question 3. Your real sex doll has died. Deliver a eulogy in their honor. Brandon, did we have a tough time on this one?
Very tough time. Very tough.
It was tough. It could have gone either way with these. Like the other two were so strong. Brandon's like, yeah, cocaine, funny. Yeah, most interesting sex doll in the world. Yeah, done. We got to this one and we struggled. Matt, you started off a little rocky, but it could have been the tears. It could have been the emotion. But you came back so strong with you fit in the overhead compartment and just reminiscing of all the travels you had with Natalie. And how she could have gotten new arms and legs, but that was a painful memory for you.
Yeah, I tried to make it more about the love and less about the sex.
Oh, wow.
Ben, you started off strong and hit every single point. Put in a 20, get a hand job. He had the parts that you needed, not the parts that you wanted. And then ending with keep following that rainbow, buddy. See you on the other side. It was a tough decision. We're going to go with Ben on this last one.
Good job, Matt.
Great job, Ben. Those are great last words.
Although you fit in an overhead compartment really was fucking hilarious.
That was funny. That was definitely funny.
Brandon, thank you so much for being on today, man.
Thanks for letting me be your what's the guy's name in This Is Us? Randall Pearson. I'm like the one black guy that comes on. Thank you. And actually, funny enough, Sterling K. Brown is actually from St. Louis, so it's kind of that St. Louis thing. Yeah.
Oh,
nice.
You two are best friends?
No, I have never met this guy in my life.
Well, Brandon, do you have anything you want to plug or talk about before you go?
Just a couple of friends of mine are doing some stuff. I have a friend of mine who's actually in Hollywood. His name is Dan Cummings. He has a film that he produces called Dig. I think that's at Sundance. Then I have another friend of mine. She's actually she's been doing a lot of work from everywhere from Memphis to Atlanta. She has a film, an independent film coming out called Clout. She goes by Nina Stacks, but her real name is Candace Banks. She's doing a lot of really cool things in Atlanta. So me personally, I'm not, when I get it, I get it. If I don't, I'm not chasing it. So but yeah, for the most part, those two are doing amazing things. And then Ryan Melling is another friend of mine who's done a lot of stuff in Minneapolis as far as stuff for First Ave, and he's done some stuff with a lot of theater groups too. So he has a lot of cool projects coming out.
Cool, man. Well, thanks again for coming on. And thank you to everyone who listened to us today. We do appreciate your patronage. Please subscribe, rate, share with a friend or two, and follow us on social media at IDYP_podcast on Twitter and Instagram. And you can email us at idrinkyourpodcast@gmail.com. Matt, great to see you again.
You too. You as well. I have a question for everybody. It's a rhetorical question.
Sure.
So it's not for everybody.
No, it's for everybody. Who is the real girl? Is it Bianca or is it Margot?
Or is it Lars?
Or is it Lars?
I always thought it was Margot. Also, I think that's the reason why he got the fake. Was because that was the thing that propelled that. He was interested in him. Well, that's why he got Bianca.
I thought it was Bianca because they all pretended she was real. So she was the, quote, real girl.
The real girl.
I think we can all agree, though, that Lars was Ryan Gosling's character, right?
Yes.
Well, next week we will be releasing a bonus episode featuring Emily and myself, and we'll be talking about Lust Caution, an Ang Lee movie.
That movie's dope.
I have not seen it. Are we in for a treat?
Man, look. If you talking about sex.
Oh boy.
They're really doing it in that. No lie. That's for real.
Whoa.
I mean, Lust Caution does describe Matt's relationship with Natalie.
It's a good movie, though. It's very good. It's very good. It's one of Ang Lee's best, I think.
Emily's a big Ang Lee fan, so
I am.
That's a big statement to live up to for the next one. Thanks again. We'll see you all later, and have a good one.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.